This is my current workout routine. I do squats, deadlifts, row machine, lat pull-downs, bench press, and overhead press. These are the essential compound exercises with adaptations for me because I'm obese. If you listen to all of these weightlifters and other people who are building strength in their bodies, they will do these exercises again and again. And by that I mean they'll not just do it to start building their exercise, but even after training for years and years, they'll continuously add these exercises back into their program because they are so good. And if it works for them, I'm sure it's going to work for me. So let's talk through them one at a time. Starting with the bench press, where I've actually not done any adaptations. This is just a bench press. I do start with no weights, and I'm using the standard barbell, which is 45 pounds. There is a smaller weight barbell, which is 30 pounds. And if you're taking inspiration to create your own program, you can definitely start with the smaller barbell. And even if that's too heavy, you can exchange the barbell for having 2 dumbbells, one in each hand instead, and still do the same exercise. So you can adapt the weights to make it possible for you to do this exercise and get those muscles going. The same goes for the overhead press. Now, I did this exercise for the first time a couple of weeks ago. I made a YouTube video on it if you want to see what it can look like when a beginner does this exercise for a first time. And if the barbell is too heavy, and I used a lighter one this time, most gyms will have both barbells, both the standard one, 45, and the 30-pound one. But for me, with overhead press, I can't use the standard. It's too heavy. So I started with the 30-pound one, and that worked out for me. And again, if you're taking inspiration to doing your own exercise, you can start with dumbbells as well, just like in the bench press. And if you do a overhead press with dumbbells, one in each hand, while sitting down, that's called a shoulder press. And it's not just a beginner thing to work up to an overhead press. The shoulder press is in and of itself a great exercise. And from what I see, weightlifters, people who've trained for a long time, will do that switch between the overhead press and the shoulder press once in a while anyway, because they're both such good exercises. Lat Pulldowns is for me a substitute for pull-ups. Now, pull-ups are a great compound exercise, which I cannot do. I am carrying too much weight. And I know there are different adaptations to the pull-up where you use bands and other things to alleviate some of that weight. I'm still too heavy to do that, or maybe I'm not, but I don't feel comfortable doing that. So I found a substitute, the lat pull-down, which is also considered a great compound exercise. And while it doesn't train all of the same muscles like a pull-up does, it still trains a lot of them, and it's good. As for the row machine, normally the compound exercise, that is the row, is done as a standing row. So instead of sitting in a machine, you're standing up, leaning over, and then pulling a barbell up toward your tummy as if you were doing a row. I tried that. Didn't feel good. Something felt off. And instead of trying to push through that, I found the row machine, which is a cable machine, which is also a compound exercise. So I switched to doing that, and I'll try again the standing row in a few weeks and see how it feels. The deadlift that I do with a kettlebell instead of a barbell. And there's a reason for that. One is that it's too heavy. I can't do a deadlift with a barbell with weights on the end. I might be able to do it with only the barbell, but if there's no weights on the end, I don't know what height I'm supposed to go down to in between because there's nothing stopping it. And I can't go all the way down to my feet. So I found that problem. It didn't feel good. And then I saw that the handles of the kettlebells at my gym were at about the right height off the ground. So I decided to go with them instead. And that works for me. Hopefully it can work for you. My plan is to continue to build up strength until I'm strong enough to do a barbell with weights on the end. And then I'll try that and see how that feels. Lastly, there's the squat. Now the squat is a squat. It'll be the same for someone who's really fit and someone who's obese. However, some instructions when people are explaining how to do a squat tells you that you have to go down to a certain angle, like you should go down at least 90 degrees, I think I've seen in some of these different exercises. And that's, from my understanding, complete bullshit. You don't have to do that. If you can't do that, you can still get a lot of value out of the squat. And I think that's very common for us who are obese. We will not be able to go down and get a full range of motion because of the extra pressure on our knees from all of the extra weight we're carrying. But that's okay. As for adaptations, well, I actually carry a dumbbell when I do it. Not that I need more weight, but because it stabilizes me. And you could try that too. If you do a squat without holding onto a weight, normally they recommend you hold your arms straight forward, which you can do. But when I did that, it was less stable, and I saw online someone was explaining, here, just hold on to a kettlebell or a dumbbell or something, and that makes it more of a stable movement when you do the squat, which I tried, and it works for me. I've also tried now doing this squat with holding onto these bands called TRX, I think. I'm sure there are other brand names as well. And you can also hold on to like a railing or something with your arms as you do the squat. The idea is that it allows you to get a better range of motion in the squat because you can use your arms to get up again. And I get that because I get the fear. Being the weight I am worried that if I go down too far, I can't get up again. I'll either fall down, or if I press myself up, I'll hurt myself, hurt my knees. So by holding onto a railing or these handles, that really, helps me because I have less fear and I can just pull myself up, adding some of the weight with my arms instead of only using my legs. The order I do these exercises is that I start with squat, then deadlift, then row, lat pull-downs, bench press, and I end with the overhead press. Unless someone is using what I need at the gym, in which case I'll probably switch them around a bit. I'm not that worried about it. Final note on the different exercises before moving on to weights and sets and how much to push. Doing all 6 of these can be a bit much. It takes me about 50 minutes when I do it at the gym. If that's too much, and if you're trying to be inspired to make your own program and you're a complete beginner, aim for 3. Do 3 of these exercises. And if that's too much, aim for 1. Even going to the gym and just doing 1 exercise puts you ahead so much more than just staying at home. Any exercise is really good. So don't shame yourself. Set a program that's good for you and work with that. Let's look at sets, reps, and weights. That is how much effort I need to put into doing these exercises. Reps stands for repetitions. So how many repetitions of the movement do you do in a row? And all of those, that series of repetition is called a set. You normally take a little bit of a break, 1 to 3 minutes between each set. So my aim is to do 3 sets of 10 repetitions for each exercise. However, this will vary, and it varies because of progressive overload. What's that? Well, if you only do the same amount of sets and reps and weights, you won't build more muscle. You will build muscle, and then you will use those muscles again and again to do that same exercise. So you want to push yourself a little bit more every time or every week to get that progressive overload, which is what it's called. That's when you continue to build muscles. So what that looks like for me, for example, if I do the exercise lat pulldowns, currently I'm doing 3 sets of 10 repetitions at 80 pounds. So that's currently what I'm doing. When do I know that I want to increase? Well, normally for me, I feel it at the end of the 3rd set. So when I'm reaching that number 7, 8, 9, 10 at the 3rd set, that's the final set of that exercise. If I feel that I can do more repetitions, I will do more right away. So I might do, 12, 13, 14 reps on that last set. And that tells me, okay, I'm good to increase. But I'm not going to start by increasing the weight. I'm going to increase the reps on each set. So instead of doing 3 sets of 10 repetitions, I'm going to do 3 sets of 12 repetitions next time. So I'm doing 12, 12, 12. And I might do that for a week before I feel like, hey, in this last set, I can push out a few more, pull in this case, if it's a lat pull down, a few more reps. So again, I might do 12, 12, maybe I'll do 15 reps on the last time. And when I've come to 12 reps in a set and I can do more, that is when I increase the weight. And when I do that, I also lower the amount of reps. So I go from 80 pounds to maybe 85 pounds, and then I go down to 8 reps. So from 12, I go down to 8. So I do 3 sets of 8 repetitions. And then when I feel I can do more, I add more reps. Maybe I do 3 sets of 9 repetitions. You don't need to increase everything by 2. You could do just 1 more rep. That's okay. And then maybe 1 more rep and I'm back at 3 sets of 10 repetitions. And the cycle starts over. So that's how I do it. I feel myself on the 3rd set. Can I do more reps? If I can, I will do it straight away. And then by the next time, I'll add reps to each set until I hit 12 reps, 3 sets of 12. If I feel I can do more, I increase the weight, lower the amount of reps, and start over. That's how I've been doing it, and I hope that helps you understand how progressive overload can be done. I do want to mention a caveat to this whole thing with progressive overload and the numbers that you've been seeing. How you feel on the specific day that you're training, what your form for that day, I should say, affects how well you're going to do. And your form depends on sleep, what you've been eating, the amount of stress in your life, if you're on your monthlies, and a lot of other factors as well. And so even though you've been able to do maybe 3 sets of 12, maybe today you can't. You're just not there. And I want to tell you, as I tell myself, it's okay. Just going to the gym is a win. Even if you just do 1 exercise, it's still so much better than just staying at home. 2 quick tips before I end that I found helpful for me. Number 1, bring a notebook or write down in your phone the sets, reps, and weights of each exercise. Because if I can't remember, you probably can't either, unless you have super memory or something. So just bring a notebook, take notes on your phone, the amount of sets, number of repetitions, and what weight you're currently on when you do the exercises. I also find it helpful to note down anything else that comes to mind while training. A little bit like a diary, but I keep it to like 2 sentences. How I felt like doing the exercise, that can give some indication to my current form for the day. I note down the names of anyone I meet that I say hi to for the first time, just to help me remind myself of what they're actually called, so I can be a nice human being. And whatever else pop into your head. Take notes, bring a notebook, or use your phone. The second tip is to also use your phone to look up videos on how to do exercises. And all you do is you search for the name of the exercise, like bench press, and then you add perfect form in the search, because you want to find someone who's going to explain to you how to do the exercise with the correct movements and what muscles to focus on or tense up and use to support that, so you do the exercise as well as possible. There is no shame in that. It is perfectly fine. Actually, it's a good thing. It's the smart thing to take out your phone and look at it at the gym, so you get that information. You could, of course, ask someone around, but you don't know if they're an expert at what they're doing. They could have been doing an exercise wrong for years. And so I would recommend going online. Someone recommended that to me, and I think that's the smart thing to do. Also, you don't need to be afraid to try new exercises, because if you add the weight that's low enough, even if you're doing it wrong, you're not going to injure yourself. So set it at a low weight, do controlled movements, that is that you can control them because they're not too heavy, and follow the instructions of whatever videos you find from experts who know what they're doing. I want to end this video just talking a little bit about warm-ups and cool-downs. I don't do warm-ups. Well, actually I do, and I'll get to that. But I don't do it in the sense of I don't get on a bike or go for a walk or do some sort of cardio to warm up before doing an exercise. And from what I've found in research and what these personal trainers online are telling us, the experts are telling about training, is that it's not needed. You don't need to do, sit on a bike and get your cardio, your endurance training kickstarted to do an overhead press. You do, however, need to warm up the muscles that you're going to use in that exercise. So the warm up that I do is that I'll do the same exercise I'm about to do at half weight, if I can. However, a lot of the exercises I do are not, they're so low weight. There's like the barbell has no extra weight on it. So I can't remove half weight. So what I'll do then is I'll just do the movement without any weights, just to get blood pumping in those muscles, just to get the muscles moving in that same, trajectory as you're about to do in the exercise. And that's enough of a warm up for now. I understand from weightlifters that some of them do quite a bit of warm-ups. Maybe they'll do the same exercise at 30% weight, what they normally do, and then 50, and then 70, and then they'll start their exercise. And I think they do like one set. They don't do 3 sets at like 30%. They'll do one set, like 10 reps of a bench press at 30% of what you normally do, and then maybe you do it at 50%, and then another set at 70 before heading out. I don't feel that I need that currently, probably because it's so low that I'm not going to have a risk for injury. Probably also because I'm not pushing myself to failure, which is a term in weightlifting where you push yourself to failure is when you do so many reps, so many sets, so much weight that by the very end, you cannot physically do one more rep without losing the form, losing what muscles tends to do the exercise correctly. That is to work something to failure. From my understanding, that's also not needed. Like you don't need to push to failure to build muscles, and especially not for us. Like for someone like me who's obese, I'm thinking the first 6 months, I don't even have to look at doing that. Like just getting to the gym and doing some exercise is good enough. And I've noticed that I can do progressive overload without pushing to failure. I will still increase and get stronger. So for now, that's not on my plate, and I don't recommend anyone who's a beginner to do that. Do, however, do some warm-ups any way you can, and at least one set at like half weight or just moving around, just to get those muscles somewhat warmed up before you start doing the exercise. Lastly, let's look at cooling down after an exercise. I also don't do that. You can get on a cardio machine and sort of slow movements, do things. I know that a lot of people stretch. You can stretch, of course, for flexibility, which is a very good thing. And from my understanding, if you do a lot of weightlifting, your muscles can contract and you become less flexible. So that can become relevant down the road for me. Currently, I'm not feeling that. I'm still feeling better than ever, actually, from doing these exercises. I have better posture. I feel better in all these different ways. I'm not going to get into it, but I don't feel that I need to do stretching, and I will probably tell you when and if I feel that I want to start doing that. So no cardio warm-up. Only do warm-ups before each exercise that warms up the muscles I'm about to use in that exercise. And no cool down or stretching afterwards either. I just go home. That's my current workout routine as an obese beginner at the gym. If you got some value out of this, let me know, leave a comment. And if you got inspired to go to the gym, I highly recommend that you do, because if I can do it, so can you. Thank you.